Good afternoon, Pensacola. This is Dr. Ryan Truchelut of WeatherTiger, and I'm here to bring you the very latest on Potential Tropical Cyclone 3, which is nearing the central Gulf Coast and is going to bring ample rainfall to Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and western Florida through the weekend. So I'm going to let the audience filter in here for a minute, and then I will walk through the forecast point by point, when and where we can expect those rainfall impacts over the next few days. Okay, good afternoon again. I'm Dr. Ryan Truchelut from WeatherTiger, and today I'll be talking about the forecast for potential tropical cyclone 3 in the northern Gulf of Mexico. So let's get started on the forecast. This is not a strong tropical system, but it is going to be a rainmaker for the weekend, and we'll focus on those rainfall impacts here as we walk through the forecast. So the first thing I want to talk about are the key messages from the National Hurricane Center for what is still known as potential tropical cyclone 3, not yet a tropical storm. The key impact, the key message they want to convey is that this storm is likely to produce heavy rainfall, including the risks of urban, river, and flash flooding, starting today in eastern Louisiana and continuing through the weekend along the central Gulf Coast, including southern Mississippi, central and southern Alabama, as well as the western portions of the Florida Panhandle. Potential tropical cyclone 3 is going to turn east across the deep south, so we'll be spreading those impacts into Georgia and the Carolinas into Monday. But for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, this is a Saturday, Sunday event. Their second key message is that there is a likelihood of seeing some wind gusts to low-end tropical storm force along the immediate Gulf Coast. Associated with this, although this is not going to be a major wind damage event by any means. So if we take a look at currently what's going on, these are the watches and warnings from the National Weather Service. And the areas that are outlined in red are areas of tropical storm warnings. Those tropical storm warnings extend east all the way to the Okaloosa-Walton County line here in western Florida, and they start around Morgan City in eastern Louisiana. These areas that are highlighted in green that extend inland across eastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and western Florida are areas of flash flood watch advisories. So you can see those rainfall impacts are going to spread over a much broader area, including inland of the central Gulf Coast. So that is our forecast focus. The other thing I want to point out is I've also overlaid here live wind indications from weather stations in the Gulf of Mexico and onshore. And you can see that there's basically this is where the area of greatest rotation is. There's a low developing in this area, and that's going to be moving onshore basically in the next 12 hours or so. If we take a look at visible satellite imagery, you can see that this storm is still a mess structurally, but it does appear to be getting a little bit better organized around a single consolidated low-level circulation center about 125 miles south of Morgan City, Louisiana. And because of that, it's likely that the system will be upgraded from a potential tropical cyclone to either a tropical or subtropical depression, or likely subtropical or tropical storm Claudette here in the next few hours. This is a live look at the radar. We're going to dig in here on those precipitation impacts because that's really all that PTC3 or Claudette is going to be the most significant impact. You can see rainfall is already moving ashore here in southeastern Louisiana, getting up to the New Orleans area, but still offshore coastal Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida. If we take a look at the radar out of the Florida Panhandle, we've got some sea breeze type storms heading inland, but they're spotty and showery as opposed to the more steadier, heavier rainfall over southeastern Louisiana. If we go forward in time, we're going to be looking at the heaviest rainfall for southeastern Louisiana beginning this afternoon, lasting through early morning hours tonight. For southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, heaviest rainfall is going to come late tonight and early tomorrow morning, and continuing through the afternoon hours. For the Florida Panhandle, we're probably going to hold off on the heaviest and steadiest rainfall until after midnight tonight, and then that will continue through the morning hours tomorrow, and likely become a little more showery once we get into tomorrow afternoon. That's Saturday, and on Sunday, we're looking at the heaviest rainfall across central Alabama and Georgia, heading up into the Carolinas, and more banding and intermittent type showers and storms across the Florida Panhandle on Sunday. So the heaviest rainfall impacts are going to be overnight tonight into tomorrow morning for really the key area that we're watching for those flood risks, which is kind of eastern Louisiana into the western Florida Panhandle. And that's what the official rainfall forecast from the National Weather Service shows. It's basically east of Lafayette and all the way out to, say, Destin is going to be the region that gets roughly 4 to 8 inches of rainfall along the coast, and areas interspersed over coastal Alabama, coastal Mississippi, and the Pensacola area will get some local totals in the 6 to 8 inch range where cells line up and fall over the same area continuously, which is called training. And because of that, the greatest risks of flash flooding over the next 3 days are between eastern Louisiana and roughly Destin, maybe a little bit east. There's a moderate risk in that region as defined by the National Weather Service. So, and that extends into the southern half of Alabama as well, with that heavy rainfall moving that way later in the day on Saturday. This is a look at estimated rainfall totals for the life of the storm, say through the end of the day on Tuesday. And again, we're looking at generally 4 to 8 inches of rainfall along coastal sections of eastern Louisiana, southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, Florida Panhandle, and then this broader area extending north into the Carolinas of, say, 3 to 6 inch totals, more like 4 to 8 inches expected, with local totals to 10 along the immediate coast. So that is going to do some flash flooding, especially in the areas that get under those training cells. So be weather alert this weekend and have a way of getting emergency notifications and flood advisories for your local area. And really we can track this right now. We can have a pretty good idea where this heavy rain is going to come in. This is a water vapor satellite image, so it's showing where the moisture is in the atmosphere. Center of circulation is here. Very dry air is to the west of the center of circulation, so very little rainfall will be seen for the western 2/3 of Louisiana. It's this big punch of tropical moisture you can see here that's going to push northeast and inland. So just track this northeast, and that's basically where the heaviest rainfall is going to be from the system. Other impacts, just to briefly be aware of: storm surge likely to be on the order of 2 to 3 feet across eastern Louisiana to east to Mobile, 1 to 2 feet east to Panama City. And we're also looking at those onshore winds, probably going to be gusting in the 40-mile-per-hour range, where there's a tropical storm warning in effect across eastern Louisiana, east all the way to Destin. I don't think we'll be looking at wind gusts higher than, say, 40, 45 miles an hour, even along the immediate coast. So this is not going to be a major wind damage event. The key impact of the onshore winds is going to be basically high surf and rip currents from coastal Mississippi all the way east to Apalachicola and Appalachia Bay. There are rip current and high surf advisories in effect for basically all of the Alabama and Florida Panhandle coastline. I know there were a double red flag advisory, and waters are closed across much of the central and eastern Gulf Coast beaches. Very dangerous swimming conditions. Please heed those swimming advisories, as there are always lurking risks of trying to go swim when in the Gulf when the surf is this high and we've got a longshore winds out of the southeast. Very dangerous swimming conditions. Don't do it. Don't swim when we're under double red flag and the beaches are closed. Final risk I want to discuss, just a slight chance of some tornadoes popping up associated with those bands along and east of the center. I don't expect a widespread tornado outbreak, but whenever you have a landfalling tropical system, you want to look along and to the east of that path for the potential for some tornadoes. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Yeah, I hope the barge companies have a little bit better warning this time. Although fortunately, this is not a wind event, so hopefully we're not going to be pushing barges around in Pensacola. If there's any other questions, type them now. Just want to double check that there's nothing new has come in while I've been talking. Doesn't look like it. So just to wrap up, this is a minimal tropical storm that'll be coming onshore in eastern Louisiana. All the rain impacts are basically going to be along and east of the track due to shear, but there are certainly the chances of some localized flash flooding associated with those 4 to 8 inch rainfall totals. This is not a Sally type event where it's going to stall. This is going to move at 10 to 15 miles per hour and keep moving across the deep south. So we're not looking at rainfall totals of 20 to 30 inches, as some localities saw during Sally. It will be much lower totals than that, but locally it's a risk you want to look out for. So anyhow, I don't see any questions, so I think I'm going to wrap up. For now, stay safe in eastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, south and central Alabama, and western Florida Panhandle, and we'll get this first tropical storm landfall of the 2021 hurricane season. Hopefully the last one. I doubt it, but hopefully off the board over the next couple days. All right, keep watching the skies, and I'll be back later.